there and welcome back to another review. So it's been a while since I've looked at any of the Godzilla movies, so I thought I'd pick up from where I was. I mean, it seems like ages ago since I last reviewed any of the Godzilla movies, but I'll be looking at Mothra versus Godzilla today, taken from you should highly pick up if you haven't got it, the Criterion sort of Showa era of the Godzilla films. So I thought I'd carry on with these Godzilla movies today and sort of go in order. So we'll be looking at the fourth movie in the franchise, and as I say, that is Mothra versus Godzilla, made in 1964. Due to the success of Mothra, made in 1961, and King Kong versus Godzilla, Toho was like, let's put Godzilla against Mothra, right? Mothra done quite well. Toho's idea was, let's just pit, Godzilla and Mothra together. Quite notable, this film at its primarily the last film from this era that depicts Godzilla as sort of the antagonist. This is one of the last films from this era of the Godzilla movies that really had Godzilla labelled or sort of was pinned down as sort of the, quote unquote, the bad guy, so to speak. Also, if you watch the movie, yes, he still has that symbol of nuclear radiation, but at the time in this movie, it's not like he's causing like loads of destruction on purpose. There are moments in the film where he causes something to fall by getting his tail caught in it or by causing something to crumble. Godzilla in this movie, like I say, he's still sort of a villain-esque, but he's sometimes when he causes destruction in this movie, Godzilla, a lot of the time it's just purely accidental. As I say, sometimes his tail will get caught on something, sometimes he'll, it's purely inadvertently just accidents will happen, so to speak. This isn't a Godzilla that is purposely just going out of his way to wreak loads of havoc and just cause loads of mayhem. Whereas the role of Mothra and what she represents was pretty much that of one of peace. We have themes running through this film like exploitation of capitalist society and class, the notion of pulling together for the greater good. The special effects crew really do pull out the stops here. Godzilla is full on, is in proportion. We have amazing intricate wire work on Mothra. The human characters hold and carry the film, I think, quite well. I think the general consensus of this movie is that it's one of the better Godzilla sequels, because they're sort of hit and miss, a lot of the Godzilla films that followed. I mean, I will try and get through all of them, but I think generally I think this film is considered to be one of the better ones, one of the good ones. So I think I think it done quite well. With Godzilla in this movie looking the best he has ever done, at least up to this point, it was sort of around about sort of the best Godzilla, in my opinion, had looked so far. Anyway, in terms of the Godzilla movies. I think that seems to be common praise as well with Godzilla in this movie and just the way he looks. What Honda is yet again able to do is not just do a straight up monster mash. There are themes here that certain characters represent, certain things, for example, like greed and things like that sort of play into the movie. It's not just, like I say, let's just have two monsters squaring it up against each other. There is a lot more sort of going on with this movie. What is interesting as well is that this was when the film was largely made to target audience of various ages, in particular sort of children. With television becoming a device that more and more people were owning and watching, especially children, I think Honda was very clever in that he knew who his audience were, and was definitely trying to aim to that wider sort of mass appeal. I think the script works. I was entertained throughout, and overall I think it's a great Godzilla movie. I think the only thing that I think may ruin it for some is sort of the final battle. Whilst okay, it never really what I would call sort of it doesn't really peak as such. It doesn't really ramp up. There's sort of no momentum with the end fight at all. It sort of just happens, but I will get to that over the course of the review. But obviously here, like I mentioned with a lot of sort of Cantonese films or Japanese films, whatever it may be, I always try and look at these films in the original language rather than watching them dubbed, because I like to watch them sort of as the filmmaker intended them to be in that original language. I know sometimes certain films, when dubbed, they do have a certain sense of nostalgia to them and things like that, but here I will be looking at the Japanese version. So, right away, you have to love how the film starts. Right in the middle of this storm with the ocean and the aggressive waves and that epic music by, I think it's Akira Ifukube, I think that's how you say his name. And it's just a great way to open the movie, and it draws you in right away. So there is this massive typhoon, and this rookie photographer Junko and reporter Sakai, whilst they're reporting after the effects of the storm, find this shiny blue object amongst some of the wreckage. And you have to love how Sakai just grabs it right away. I mean, has no idea what it is, has no idea what this thing is, where it's been, where, if it's contaminated, anything like that. Just grabs it for no reason whatsoever. Then this giant great big egg turns up in the ocean by the seafront, and it is huge, right? This egg is massive. This is like one of the biggest eggs you've ever seen, right? So this egg washes up, and I love they get it ashore, but I don't think at any instant we actually see how how the humans actually move this great big colossal egg. What makes it even more insane is that all these professors, scientists, reporters and business types are just standing right by this egg, right? That's, again, like I say, they have no idea what's in it, where it come from, anything like that, but everybody's just gathering around this egg. I mean, there doesn't seem to be any sort of barricades or any sort of limited access or anything like that. It seems anybody is allowed to get right round by this egg. I mean, it could be full of toxins, but they don't mind taking the risk. So Kumiyama, who works for a firm called Happy Enterprises, has bought the egg as it was in his waters, and he has plans to charge people admission fees and build an amusement park around the egg. That notion of no matter what, I know it's sort of done in sort of a roundabout way, but when you look at that sort of that plot device, that notion of no matter what something is, if people can make money out of it, then you can bet your life people will. And I know this, like I say, it's a Godzilla movie. You could say it's as silly as you want it to be, but where it's like I say, it's a foreign alien object, there's a great big egg there, but the idea of that, what that's representing is sort of, doesn't matter what it is, if people can make money out of something, they will, and it's very much true of society and the way, especially now, than the world we live in. So then we have these two twin fairies, the Shobijin, played by singing duo The Peanuts, who turn up and are wanting their egg back. And it's quite clever, the way they do this, with sort of these sort of small fairies. And I love the furniture and the sets they build around them to make them seem really small. Very much it's almost like sort of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids before Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. So as I say, some of the furniture and set design, and the way it's sort of put together and edited together, it really does look quite good. So Sakai barges in out of nowhere, not sure where he come from, and meets the professor and Junko in the woods. The fairies tell them where they come from, a place called Infant Island, where they once tested nuclear bombs, and that the giant egg belongs to Mothra, and the storm that opened the movie caused the egg to fall into the ocean. It turns out the whole time they are talking, Mothra is there too, just perched along this cliffside, like this gigantic, great big moth. They're just happily having this chat in the woods, and it's like, oh yeah, by the way, Mothra's just up there. This great big enormous moth is just perched along the cliffside. So the egg is now in like this glass house again, not sure explained how they moved the thing. So Sakai and Junko go to see these greedy businessmen in order for them to give the egg back, but they won't. Mothra and the twins leave, and the reporters print the article that they ignored Mothra. The professor finds that the blue thing that they found at the start of the movie, if you remember when I said, they had no idea what this thing is, but they're just happy to touch it and just put their hands on it anyway. And now it turns out that thing is extremely radioactive. So, hindsight and all that, them kind of things. But yeah, it turns out it's extremely radioactive. And this is why you should be very skeptical of random things you touch that have been washed in from sea. It's just I think it's just common sense, really, isn't it? So Godzilla emerges from beneath the mud as they measure for radioactivity. And as I mentioned earlier, this Godzilla does not cause a lot of damage on purpose. When you really watch this film, like I said at the start review, he's not going out of his way to cause a lot of trouble and a lot of mayhem and to just wreak havoc. He's not doing it on purpose. If anything, he's just a very clumsy Godzilla in this movie. He's probably the clumsiest Godzilla, or one of the clumsiest Godzillas you will see. Like I say, he gets his tail caught, he slips, he crashes, he falls over. So the plan is to ask Mothra for help in defending themselves against Godzilla, right? This is what it's all sort of boiling down to, where Sakai, Junko and the professor go to Infant Island. They go to Infant Island in that, to, ask for help. I mean, it is a bit rich. Yeah, we aren't giving your egg back. Oh, yeah, by the way, can you defend us from this giant lizard? They've got this egg, powers that be not giving it back. And it's like, oh yeah, can you just defend us against this gigantic, great big lizard that's just invading our, in our towns and everything. I mean, the audacity. So once they're greeted by these very, very, very red tribes people. The chief is like, you aren't having Mothra's help, and they are still a bit mad and fuming about the nuclear testing that took place there, as you would be. I think that's fair enough. If you're on an island and some, people from somewhere else come across and done some nuclear testing, I think you have every right to be sort of PO'd about that. Even the twins refuse, who also, by the way, can read people's thoughts, in case you didn't know. So after giving a speech saying they want a better world, the twins take them to Mothra and agrees to help them, even though it would be the last of her strength and she only has a short time before she basically kicks the bucket. I mean, you have to hand it to Mothra. In her last bit of strength, she's going to help humans who have kept her egg. So you've got to hand it to Mothra, not giving her egg back. She wants it back. She's like, well, okay, then I'm going to sort of die anyway. Her strength's sort of depleting. I might as well just help you out. Excuse me. So the military plan to lure Godzilla, who planned to attack him at 2 points. The guy from Happy Enterprises confronts Takarada, who he's like sort of the financial backer, as he sort of lost his money. And actually, this bit here is actually quite a violent scene in the movie. It's because, like I say, you can argue a lot of the Godzilla films, they are aimed really at kids, especially they, sort of under 12s, sort of that kind of era. But this moment in particular, and it's definitely the darkest scene in the film, where he punches the hell out of this guy and leaves him like in a bloody mess. Ends with him coming to and shooting him as well. All the while, Godzilla is approaching the hotel and causes some wreckage. So these two get their comeuppance for basically being greedy son of a guns. That's what happens. And after destroying the hotel, Godzilla then makes his target the egg. Mothra shows up, and of course the twins are there too. Don't think they depict how the twins get around so much, so easily, especially when the majority of the time they have to be carried around in this case, like this box type thing. Sometimes the twins are just there, but other times they've got to be carried around. I'm not sure if that's ever sort of explained or expanded upon further, sort of their, travel of movement. So, how they get to and from Infinite Island is anyone's guess. I mean, now we have some great effects here with Mothra using her wind power against Godzilla, even owning him and dragging him by the tail like a boss. After getting the upper hand and winning the battle, Mothra just comes over, she just comes over bad and goes to die, basically. She's just like, right, this is it. She just comes over a bit off, and then she just basically goes to die next to the giant egg. The army start opening fire on Godzilla, tanks, jets, you name it. Really cool scene with Godzilla walking all through these explosions. They even try to electrocute him to no avail, but yet they try this again, but this time they drop several nets on him first, and wouldn't you know it, it does the trick. So nets and things like that always come in handy when you're trying to electrocute Godzilla. I love how you have about 3 to 4 groups of helicopters all flying over Godzilla carrying a net and manage to land it on him perfectly as well, might add. Like, they're flying over him. But I mean, bearing in mind the size of Godzilla, you probably couldn't miss him. But these helicopters are extremely, extremely accurate. Again, feel sorry for the big guy in this scene, though he does come to and he gets out of it. You always felt, when I was younger and I was watching these movies, whenever like Godzilla was getting sort of beat, or he was being suppressed by fire, or he wasn't liking something, I always end up feeling sorry for Godzilla. Like, you always think, oh, leave him alone. You always think, just like, leave him alone. He's not causing any problems. So all the while this is going on, the twins are singing to the egg, and the tribespeople on Infinite Island are having like some kind of ritual. The egg hatches and it's twin larvae, and right away they go right after Godzilla, who is heading for this island where there just so happens to be a teacher and her students who were left behind for some unknown reason. Right, there's this teacher and her pupils on this island for whatever reason. They've been left behind just to add a bit of drama and a bit of, people in need, people need help at the end of the movie. One of the larvae bites the crap out of Godzilla's tail and gets swung around like crazy. The other one starts shooting like this web at Godzilla whilst hardening a tunnel. Both larvae end up doing this, and does seem to go on a while. And the end fight, though good, it does seem a bit of a one-trick thing, just with them both shooting these webs at Godzilla. It doesn't really get any further than that. You don't really see a lot. It's like they've just got one special move and they keep spamming that special move against Godzilla. Our reporter Sakai and his friends arrive at the island in order to help the teacher and the students. Godzilla ends up falling into the sea and the larvae swims to Infant Island. Ends with our characters saying we must build a better world with mutual trust. I mean, there's always that sort of, especially in the earlier Godzilla movies, there was always an element of a bit of preachiness going on, bit of sort of, we've got to build a better world, we've got to work together, these kind of things. But overall, it's a great kaiju movie, and I know this often, like I mentioned, ranks quite highly on a lot of people's Godzilla movies, and rightly so, because it is a thoroughly enjoyable one. I just found the end fight was somewhat sort of lacking in intensity, and just the whole... just so the film held my interest, and like I mentioned, it's a really good Godzilla sequel, but just the end fight, it does seem a bit of a one-trick pony. Like I say, the larvae just have one attack. They keep doing that against Godzilla, and they end up being triumphant in the end. But I will be trying to hopefully over the next number of videos be trying to get through the Godzilla movies. There's quite a few to get through. I don't want to just do the Showa era. I want to do as many of I want to do other kaiju movies as well, not just Godzilla. But I thought let's tackle some of the obvious Godzilla movies first. So thank you very much indeed for watching. Go and check out Mothra versus Godzilla. Hope you enjoyed the review, and I'll see you again soon.
Don't concentrate on the finger or you will miss all that heavenly glory.